Third topic of economy is inflation targeting. In March 2021, the inflation targeting time in India will complete 5 years. Basically, what is inflation targeting? It is the commitment of central government to keep inflation below a certain threshold using tools like interest rate and other liquidity adjustment measures to achieve this objective while maintaining growth. In recent past, several countries have been opting for inflation targeting as a monetary policy objective due to following reasons. Uh, First one is strong correlation with market demand. Inflation targeting has the potential to tweak demand for ensuring both financial stability and continuous growth. Then second one is uh, predictable and easy to understand for private sector and residents. That is, if fluctuations of inflation will be known in advance, then it will be easy for them to understand. Then third point is targeting mechanism generally increase transparency. That is, it tells about whether the central bank has achieved its objective or not. Then, how the inflation targeting framework operates in India. Uh, there was a agreement of IT in 2015, which was further culminated into RBI Act in 2016 by amendment, and it was having following framework. First one was it was having the goal of achieving price stability, and to fulfill this objective, mm, a committee was formed, which was MPC, that is Monetary Policy Committee. It consists of 6 members, 3 internal and 3 external. Internal meaning with from RBI itself, and 3 external are to be appointed by central government. Then the monetary policy has been entrusted with the task of fixing the policy rate required to achieve the inflation target. The act adopted year on year changes in headline CPI as a measure of inflation target. Now, why CPI chosen as measure of inflation? It is because of following advantages. First one, CPI represents consumer based basket, which was not in other measures like WPI. Then it also includes service sector. And third point is food inflation, which is more important in emerging markets like India. Then the target was fixed at 4% with an upper and lower tolerance band of 2%. Along with it, the target is reviewed every 5 years. Then Act mandates the following working methodology for the MPC. That is, the policy rate is determined by majority voting among the members at the MPC. Then it requires that MPC must meet at least 4 times in a year. Then MPC must published resolution adopted by MPC must be published after every meeting, and minutes of every MPC must be published. Next point is RBI must publish a report on monetary policy twice a year. In the event of failure to achieve the inflation target, the act lays down that RBI will inform the central government the reason for failure, action it proposed, and the time within which inflation target shall be achieved. Then, performance of inflation targeting in India. Inflation reduced from a high of more than 10% before 2014. For example, uh, average inflation rate between October 2016 and March 2020 was below 4%. Then stability in inflation expectations. The inflation forecast of financial professionals and the response to inflation forecast of households declined with the shift of inflation targeting. Then third point is the inflation targeting rhyme has had a stabilizing effect on ancillary variables like exchange rates, equity market, etc. Then fourth point is increased expression of diversity at policy level, meaning the difference of policy measures between external and internal, that is central government and central bank. There was a diversity in the expressions of both. So it ensures a delicate balance between price stability and economic growth. Then there are some challenges that still remains. First one is narrow objective. That is the inflation targeting is the only objective of the policy, and therefore parameters like economic growth, stable exchange rate, and financial stability they are not included. Then there is a requirement of some prerequisite, that is inflation targeting demands a number of preconditions for its successful implementation in long term, such as independence of central bank, then well developed financial market, and flexible exchange rate, etc. Then third point is issue of accuracy and limited availability of data. Several institutions, including the RBI, have questioned the accuracy of the data. Last point is that designed for demand driven inflation system, it argues that the inflation targeting system is mainly designed for countries where the inflation is due to demand factors, whereas in India it is due to supply side factors. Then there is COVID-19 and inflation targeting. Negative supply shock as well as negative demand shock means neither there was a supply and nor the demand. It creates ambiguity for the IT rhyme. Why? Because rising policy rates could dampen the demand and thereby economic growth, and cutting the policy rates could hamper the market participants. एक second. Cutting the policy rates could spur inflation and decrease the confidence of market participants. In such scenario, being on safer side The standard course of action for inflation targeting, central bank would be to cut rates or at least to refrain from raising them. If the negative supply shock is temporary, if the shock is temporary, there will be higher price and inflation now, but lower price and less inflation on even deflation in the future. What it is saying that if confidence of market participants have to increase, we require inflation to be cut or at least to refrain from raising further. What it will do that it could make inflation for now, but it could be less inflation or even deflation in future. Then what are the steps that can be taken to overcome these challenges and further strengthen the IET rank? First one is coordination between monetary policy and fiscal policy. A government non-voting member is a way to coordinate and yet not interfere. This might be one option. Then second is improving data collection and analysis framework. Then fourth topic is liquidity trap. What is basically liquidity trap is it is a contradictory economic situation in which interest rates are very low and saving rates are high, therefore rendering the monetary policy ineffective. How monetary policy will be ineffective? It leads to a scenario where any additional money supply that is generated in economy gets channeled towards saving rather than investments, thus rendering economy to refrain at the same liquidity level. Basically, it is saying that when interest rates are low uh, and saving rates are high, it encourages savings rather than any investment. So there is a question, is the global economy stuck in a liquidity trap? The economic situation created by pandemic has led to the following development which indicates towards a liquidity trap. First one is very low interest rate. Central bank have a little room to further cut interest rates if another shock strikes. Second is, despite the extremely low interest rates, global demand is still sluggish. Third is threat of potential currency war. Due to decrease in interest rates, money supply around the world would increase, which can potentially trigger a currency war due to sliding exchange rates. Then last is generally the developing countries are unlikely to develop this problem due to high average interest rates. But recently developing countries like Peru and Chile have almost brought the borrowing cost to zero due to their crashing economies, thus signaling a liquidity trap. Should India worry? Meaning, what is the possible chances of liquidity trap in India? It is saying that the second order effect of lockdown in India could later see demand slump again to drag India's economy down. In this context, we risk slipping into a liquidity trap if inflation fails to fall below 6% within a quarter or so, as projected by RBI. Then, what could be done? First one is support consumption and large scale investment. And last is revisiting global economic arrangements and thereby boosting trade agreements and global supply changes.